My guest today is Allyson Lewis, and she's on a mission to help women who are overworked and burned out. I think that's just about everybody, truthfully. She's a speaker, a corporate consultant, a trainer, a business coach, and the author of 5 books. And she has over 30 years of experience working as a corporate executive in financial services. She knows what it's like to work nonstop for your career and family and wake up one day wondering if you've made any kind of difference at all. Today, she's here to share her experience so that you can live with purpose. Welcome, Allyson.
I'm so glad to be here.
Well, there's so many things in your intro I could talk about. First of all, um, you know, I think everybody today, especially, and not only women, are overworked and burned out, but women in particular because they're expected to do everything. I mean, they do their job, they do full time everything, and then they come home and they have another full time everything to do. So I think that does affect women more than men. Also, many people feel like they have to work nonstop this at this point because, there's always somebody around the corner to take your job. So we're talking about living today with a purpose. We're talking about living regret free. So where did your interest in time management begin?
My interest in time management began because I was the one that started a career at 22 and worked for 30 years in the same industry. It was very competitive in the financial services industry, and I was just scattered everywhere. Most of the people that know me know that I actually am diagnosed with attention deficit disorder. It can be a great creative thing. But, as a mom, I was very active in so many events, and I was working full time. And just getting to the laundry at midnight was one of those things I think a lot of people can relate to.
Well, that's true. That's true. And but that doesn't mean everybody learns to manage their time well. So so who are you've written 5 books. Are they all on time management, and on who did you write your books for?
Yeah, I have a very specific demographic, and 70 something percent of our people that are engaged with our company are women. Now, we still have a lot of men that are interested in but I've actually created a persona of someone that I believe can really connect with the books. 3 of them are on time management. 1 was on finance, but the 3 recent ones. So I would love to tell you about the person that we feel like we talk about.
Sure, that's fine.
Well, we've named her Martha. I don't know if you're familiar with the parable or the story in the Bible where Mary's sitting at the feet of Jesus and Martha's just all over the place running around. And I think that's how a lot of people feel. So our demographic is typically between 30 and 60. And let's see if this rings true with your audience. She makes good wages. Her husband makes good wages. They have high school kids that are like 14 and 17. They live in the suburbs. Our person that comes to our website is typically a college graduate. She's very well educated, and she goes to conferences. And I know, Gail, you can relate to this. You go to a conference, you're well respected, but you could have taught the conference.
Amen.
And so, she's respected. She likes things. She really wants to get more done. Her kids are behaved. She's active in church. She reads a lot. Over the last year, she's read a book on nutrition, 3 high-end fictions, a book on self-development. But here's the thing, is that she just doesn't feel like she has enough. She's active, but she goes to bed tired. She gets up tired. She feels like she's not bringing her best to the game, and she's looking for ways to not only get more done, but to get more done that would make a difference in the lives of her family, that would make a difference in her community, and that would somehow help her find peace and freedom in her own life.
That's very interesting. I mean, that's a definitive description of what we call an avatar, the person that you model your business around. And even though this is a show on living regret free, this is a good hint for any of you out there who are in business. You're trying to sell to everyone, and you really need to formulate a picture and a description of an avatar. And it doesn't just mean as she started out, as Ellen started out saying, a woman 30 to 60, it means she described her kids, she described her education, she described her community, she described how she lives her life. That is a psychographic picture of an avatar, your ideal client. So I know that mostly everyone listening to the show can relate to feeling trapped and stuck. So why is poor time management so painful?
I just saw a video last night. We've got a new class coming in. And this class that I shot last night, we talked about the to-do list, which is a great way to start. But it becomes, if you're not trained properly, it becomes that piece of paper that you've made a commitment to get, say, 3 or 4 things done. And because you walk in and you're just overwhelmed with email and fire drills, that somehow you don't get the things done today that you said you would get done. So tomorrow they roll over, and now you've got 10 things and you don't get them done. So it rolls over and you get 15 things. And there's a word I'd like to share with your audience that I think really sums that up. So I would like your permission to share the big secret of the pain.
Absolutely.
Well, I do a lot of research. I mean, I'm a student at heart. I love sharing information. And the word that I call this is overwhelmed. And, we throw that word around so casually, but as I went into to understanding what it really meant, and I want to see if this resonates with your viewers about living regret-free, being overwhelmed actually means buried beneath a huge mass. Let me say that one more time. Being overwhelmed means you feel like you're buried underneath a huge mass. And in my mind, I'm envisioning this desk of papers and laundry and just all of the things that we need to do. And it completely defeats us. We're not strong enough to bear that weight of this huge mass. And I know as a woman, I feel often the pressure of things bearing down on me, and I hear myself saying, Allyson, you must not be smart enough. You're not good enough. You're too disorganized. And it hits me right at that self-identity that how can everyone else get everything done when I'm feeling that pain and anxiety and stress and maybe even depression of feeling like I'm buried underneath the things that I've said I would do. So I think that's where the regret comes from.
Well, you mentioned a to-do list, and I just love to-do lists. But I say, in fact, I wrote this on a blog yesterday. I said because they were talking about what are the time management skills you really need, and I said, and there were all kinds of suggestions, but I said I live by a to-do list, but I also live by a prioritization and a ranking, because even if you just get to your A number 1, at least you've got your A number 1 done, and then you've got to decide from there. But you say when it comes to creating a to-do list, there's something called an insanity test. So what is that?
Well, the insanity test is something, and we do a lot of coaching, a lot of speaking. And when I'm face to face with people, I ask them to take just a few minutes to write down what they feel like is their to-do list for today and tomorrow. And I give them, 4 or 5 minutes, and they just crunch down. It's like it's a race, and they start writing all these things down. Because when you think about what you have to do, all of these things swirling in your mind are screaming to come out of your mind and to be put on a piece of paper just so you won't forget them. And so I give them 4 or 5 minutes, and then I have a contest. Now, Gail, in our industry, you got to make it fun, right?
Right.
And so I ask, who has at least 10 to-dos? And people stand up. And then who has 15 and who has 20? And some of these people in 5 minutes can write down more than 30 things on a to-do list.
Wow. Well, your company is called the 7minutelife.com. Why 7 minutes?
Well, I think the 7 minutes comes right back to that insanity test, is that obviously when someone takes 5 minutes even, and they come up with 20 or 30 things that they, feel this pressure of getting to do. The question that we're going to ask is, if I could take a magic wand and wave it over those 20 to 30 things on your to-do list, and you could actually get them done, completely done, the insanity test says, would it have made a difference in your life? If you had everything done that was overwhelming you, would it have made your life more purposeful, more meaningful? Would it have affected your family, your own self-esteem? And during the insanity test, a lot of people say no. So the 7 minutes part comes from the fact that we don't only need to get things done, but we want to be able to step out of the noise and find meaning and purpose in the work that we do. And so I'm guessing that people would like to know a little bit more about how the 7 minute process might work.
Absolutely. I'm visualizing myself here, and I'm thinking of all the things that I do in a day and all the things I'm responsible for. And life is a little easier now, Allyson, because it's just me. My family is grown, my husband is gone. So I'm responsible for me and my 2 cats. And, and I've got other things. I've got other homes and things like that. But basically, it's me. So I control what I do and how I do it, even though lots of things from the outside come in, of course. But I have the option of saying yes or no. And if I say yes, I shouldn't beat myself up if I can't, if I can't do it. And if I say no, I shouldn't feel guilty. So give us an idea of what you're talking about.
All right. Well, when I'm doing these classes online, what I enjoy doing is have people just write down the theory, because I think they can understand it. If you're driving, don't do this. But if you're sitting at home, I'd like you to draw 4 circles. So, Gail, if you have a piece of paper, 4 big circles. And this makes it easier to understand. I like to share this in a way, and this is life altering. So if people are thinking about moving on to another podcast, they really need to hang with this, because it's so simple. So here's the answer to why 7 minutes. In the first big circle, I'd like you to write the number 24.
Okay.
And I don't think this is only applies to women. It doesn't matter if they're young or old. It applies to all of us, that there are 24 hours in the day. And as you look at that circle, that's a framework or a constraint where you cannot break through that. And we all want to do that. But I want people to understand that their time is limited. And when they try to put more into that circle, which cannot be shifted, the only thing that happens is we kick out. In other words, when you put something in, something else is forced to be kicked out. What typically gets kicked out is sleep, exercise, taking care of ourselves, laughing out loud. So the first circle is about 24 hours in the day. And this is about.
To say, I do really well there. I exercise every day. And I do that, and I sleep very well. I sleep with a cat under one arm and the other cat on my back. And so I do well in those areas, but I've got my circle. So what goes in the second one?
The second circle is 1440.
Okay.
1440. And this is where you'll begin to see the 7 minutes involving. They're 1440 minutes.
Okay.
And I don't want to live minute by minute. I think this is going to be the favorite thing I do today. I'm pretty excitable, and having a chance to sit and talk to you, those are going to be some minutes that are well spent, because I'm very passionate about the things I do. And I think women need to be encouraged to know there is a solution. So looking at these 1440 minutes, now I should make you my poster child, because my guess is out of those 1440 minutes, you're going to have some fun today. Am I right?
Oh, yeah, I have fun every day. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so awareness. I just want people to be aware that they're 1,440 minutes. In the third circle, I'd like you to write 1%.
1%, okay.
And so this is where the magic happens. 1% of 1,440 minutes is 14 minutes. I'm going to ask your listeners to choose to take 7 minutes in the evening to think. The 7 minutes comes, and you'd be surprised at how long 7 minutes is. You take your phone and you literally set the timer for 7 minutes. You go away from the noise and you think. That's the key, is to step out of the noise and think. And rather